In this episode, we are going to cover Tipsy Elves and their amazing penchant for getting retention sequences right. However, we also uncover a few little minor details that they might want to test, but don't take my word for it. I don't have insight into Tipsy Elves. We're going to go off of what they're doing and assuming that it's working exceptionally well. They're probably testing all of these things already, but let's get started. Let's dive right in. All right, we're looking at their homepage here, and I am going to reload and see if we get a pop-up. We might need to clear out our cookies here. We have a sign up and save 20%. This is what I signed up for. However, previously they had a spinning wheel pop-up, sort of a game to see what kind of a discount you could get. I have a feeling it was always 20% off, but it's a good little engagement gimmick that really helps boost the subscribe rate. And I think that what they are doing here is testing, unless I can clear the cookies here to showcase that we can get that same pop-up when I signed up over a month ago, to see where this campaign went. We're going to review that entire campaign here with you today. All right, it looks like I've confirmed behind the scenes. I was looking for my settings, cleared my cookies, and we're not getting that spinning pop-up. So they're testing different locations for this subscription in this field from the looks of it, which is cool to see in the wild. But luckily, I have screenshots. We can dive into those screenshots here in a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more first about what Tipsy Elves is. They, I believe, were on Shark Tank, which is a hugely popular TV show here in the United States. And I think they have some good global domination with that show too. I think it's called Tiger's Den in the United Kingdom. In any event, they received a lot of exposure there. They sort of have this retro look and feel to snow sports and snow sports gear. And I'm a snowboarder. I love snowboarding. And I saw one of my friends wearing one of these outfits, and I asked him, hey, what brand is that? And he said Tipsy Elves. So I went, and this was just a month ago in January, and decided to check them out and see what I wanted to order. I found something to order, but I wanted to see, naturally, as a marketer, what they do for their funnel. Do they have discounts in their abandoned cart sequence? What's their welcome discount like? And more. Lucky for us, I recorded everything that I received over the next few weeks, and you get to see all of that today. So we're going to go behind the scenes with Tipsy Elves without them knowing that we're reviewing their campaigns. I happen to know for a fact that their products are really top-notch and very high quality, and their marketing team appears to be very, very much on top of it, and that's exciting to see. So let's dive in and go straight over to the email messages that I received first, and then we'll go over into this SMS retention sequence next. All right, so I just searched my inbox for Tipsy Elves, and you can see the sequences here. You can see that the very first thing that I received was the 20% off coupon, and I started receiving several emails and messages per day. So on January 20th, I received 2. January 21st, I received 3. January 22nd. So you can kind of get an idea of the sequence. You can pause this screen here and see that every day Tipsy Elves is sending me something. They did miss a day here, so between the 24th and 25th, day 5 or 6, I think that was, they didn't send a message, and then they get back to it every couple of days, and then they stop. They pause for a couple of weeks here, which I think is kind of unique, and I wonder if they've tested that. They probably have, but if I were in their shoes, I would test trying to send something continuously every single day, all the time, especially because I've conditioned the prospect here and the potential client or customer to be receiving email messages from me very, very regularly. Now, I actually think that some of this is unintentional, and here's why. When we look at this just by the subject lines, you can see there's a lot of promotions and discounts going on. And it's because when I signed up into their welcome sequence, I also inadvertently, probably on purpose, maybe on the Tipsy Elf side, I was segmented into not only their welcome sequence, but also their regular promotion sequence. So now I'm getting a welcome sequence and a regular promotion sequence at the same time. Not only that, shortly after I got that welcome sequence, I went and added something to the cart and put my email address in the checkout again just to see what kind of abandoned cart sequence they were sending. So now I'm in 3 sequences and I'm not filtered out of any of them. So that's why I'm getting inundated with all of these messages, often in the same day and often confusing with all of these different promotions. They are busy promoting their products. They really want me as a customer, which I didn't mind as a marketer. I really like that. I don't know how consumers think of that all the time, but I'm a big fan as a marketer to conditioning people to receiving communications from me regularly that tell them and indicate to them that, hey, I've always got a deal going on. That's one thing. I want you as a customer, and I want to do everything I can to get you as a customer. I think people like that. I think people are very much appreciative of that. And if they want to, they can mute or unsubscribe. And that's okay, because I'd rather have them unsubscribe than just be inactive, never opening my email messages and clouding up and taking up resources because they haven't purchased yet. It might be a different story. If once they've purchased, then I know that there's extra value there. And that is where I would be maybe a little bit more careful with my communications, maybe a little bit more tasteful to say, hey, okay, I've won you as a customer, and now I value you as my customer. And that is a whole different mindset for marketers and marketing. So 2 sides to the coin there. Be aggressive with the direct response. They're not my customer yet. I want them as a customer, and I want them to feel appreciated and to know that I want them as my customer. And then the other side is once they become my customer, I want them to know that I respect them, that I respect that they've spent their hard-earned money with me, and that I want to continue earning their business. So it has a slightly different tone, slightly different change in pattern and sequence. And both sides of that I would test. Both segmentation sides I would test with promotions, with updates, upgrades, and more as an e-commerce seller. Okay, let's dive back into this campaign here. I received the 20% off coupon. This is usually going to the homepage. I like the animation inside of the email messages here. I think that's classy. I like how fast loading it is. I like their tone of voice as a brand. This is really cool to see. Let's click this and see where it takes us. All right, they are using, look at this, they're telling us some information as marketers. They are using Klaviyo. So later in this video, we are going to look for and try to develop a job description and a scorecard for a Klaviyo marketing specialist or a Klaviyo retention specialist. That's cool to see. All right, so now we can see that these are their analytics tracking parameters up here. As a marketer, I always want to look at these tracking parameters just to see how I'm getting segmented as a user, and it gives me clues on how I might be able to segment my own products and services. So there's always little breadcrumbs from other marketers out there that we get to sort of see and dissect here on YouTube, but also inside of these videos and these shorts that we're sharing. I love marketers' breadcrumbs. They reveal so much. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Medium is email. Of course, I just clicked inside of an email. The campaign is new email. And we have the link for 20% off. Your order with the code. We have, looks like we have a Klaviyo tracking ID. And this might be Triple Whale to showcase Klaviyo as a attribution. I think this is what this parameter is. I'm not familiar with this parameter, so that is something I would have to look up. But I imagine that because of the word triple in there and its source, this is Triple Whale source. Triple Whale is a software that is amazing at e-commerce attribution, especially with Shopify stores and with Klaviyo as part of their retention sequence. Okay, back to the website here. We're at the home page. You can see that because we're at tipsyelves.com, and then we get right into the tracking parameters after that. So we're back at the home page with all of these discounts and more. And let's go look at the next email in the sequence. This is one of my favorite things. Oh, I need to point this out really quick. This is so cool. And I think every retention specialist needs to know this tactic. Send this clip, send this video to your retention specialist, or start tackling this yourselves. They have a different from address for just about every single email that they send. And some of it includes the benefit. So it showcases that they're testing things regularly. And I love that. Some of it's personalized like Nate. But here's the key. If we hover over these, it's all from hello@tipsyelves.com. They just changed the from address, not the actual reply to address. Hello at Tipsy Elves. So it's still coming from hello@Tipsy Elves. They're just changing the from parameters so that it shows up just like this, okay? So this was cool. I love this. It shows the attitude of Tipsy Elves. It showcases that they noticed us. They noticed that we added something to the cart. So this is the beginning of their cart abandonment sequence, right? So this one here, go back to the 20% off coupon. As a marketer, this is the beginning of the welcome sequence, from what I understand. Now, this is an assumption, but I think you'll see that it's a good assumption. I have this all organized inside of a document here that I'll share with you shortly. But it's this 20% off coupon from admin at Tipsy Elves, which is really hello at Tipsy Elves. This was the welcome sequence. This is what I did a spinning engagement wheel thing to submit my email address, and then it took me into submitting my phone number for SMS sequences too. But for the abandoned checkout, it's only by email because I didn't submit my phone number to that. I only submitted my email as if I were to check out with a product in my cart. So this is the email that they sent after that. So they know I was there. They know that I put something in my cart at tipsyelves.com. And they send this email a couple hours later or the next day saying, hey, we saw you checking us out, and it's side.i at tipsyelves.com. I just love that. I think that's classy. So here's just part of their brand. It's a little bit snarky, and I just love it. Staring problems. We noticed you noticing us, and we're kind of digging it. That is cool. I love this messaging. I think every brand needs a tone of voice, and I really love the snarky brands. I think almost every brand can lend itself to some sort of humor, and this is very, very tastefully done. So well done, Tipsy Elves. This is so cool for the very first email in a abandoned cart sequence for a retention campaign inside of Klaviyo. All right, so here's what I added to the cart. Okay, I wasn't sure what I added, but here it is. It's the men's skeleton snowsuit, so they're showcasing that. Klaviyo does this automatically for you, which is really cool. You can include this little module inside of here, so it shows me what I was looking at and what I wanted to add. Wouldn't that be cool to snowboard down in? I just love that outfit. So awesome. So let's see what happens when we click on Shop Now. It takes us back to this. Awesome. Okay, so my cart's empty because it's a month later, most likely. And I also try to clear my cookies when I'm running these campaigns to see if there are any tests going on. But this is cool to see. It's taking me back to the men's black and white skeleton snowsuit, and it'll let me add it to the cart again. Awesome. Very relevant, very targeted. I love that. Okay, let's close those out. Let's go back to the next email. All right, so we have a welcome sequence email, and then the same day we have an abandoned cart sequence email. And the next day we receive three things. We receive a general campaign from Sale at Tipsy Elves. So this tells me I'm in a promotional sequence here, a regular one, most likely. Here's the 20% off recap from the welcome side. And then I'm getting a third promotion, which is adding a little bit to my confusion. Wait, there's 15% off? This, I think, is back to the abandoned cart side. So we have side-eye first, and then we have fear of missing out, FOMO, at Tipsy Elves. I love that, again, for their abandoned cart sequence. Very, very tastefully done, and I really, really like it. But let's take a look at all these messages here. So here's the second one inside of the welcome sequence. You see 20% off the order, the same coupon code from the initial welcome sequence. They have a little bit of sense of humor in the party here. This is cool to see. I just love these animations. All right, so let's go look at their regular promotions here with a 30% off. Snowsuits. This is cool to see. I was looking at snowsuits, so now I'm in this regular promotional category for snowsuits. And this is cool to see 30% off. Very, very good to see. It happens to work out to $100, which gives them the $100 promotion also. This time they're saying shop snowsuits. Okay, cool. All right, you get an idea of what their email is like. I like to screenshot all of these and put them into, I just use a Google flowchart or a Google chart to copy these. And you can see that a lot of them are animated. Rather than go through every single email, I'll just show you the screenshots. And I will give you access to the folder where I've screenshotted all of these. But I do want you to note the sequence timing here. So you can pause this screen and kind of write down, okay, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and so on. And we'll go from there into this chart. I'll go show you that chart right now. So here's the flow chart. I just use this inside of Google. This flow chart is a lot of fun. The very first thing that I went through was this pop-up sequence. So let's zoom in and take a look at this pop-up sequence. So you can see they had a spin to win promotion, and this is just a screenshot. Luckily, most screenshots are now high definition, so we can zoom in and out and kind of see the big picture here. This is, as you can see, the Tipsy Elves welcome, seasonal, and bonus abandoned cart retention sequences. So let's go back and zoom in to see how this started. What took me down this rabbit hole? This is the very first thing that I saw. This was animated, this was spinning, and you click spin below to win up to 20% off your first order. And of course, I think they landed on 20% every time. So I won, enter the email below. So I did, I submitted my email and clicked view my code, which I think is a good call to action. And then it took me to this next pop-up in the sequence that said almost done, get 20% off. Sign up and we'll text you your 20% off coupon code. This is where I entered their SMS sequence and get 20% off to complete the sign up. And then they tell me to check my text messages and reply Y to confirm the subscription. However, you'll see when we review the SMS sequence, I didn't get the Y, or I didn't have to confirm. I just received the code and more messages, which I thought was fine because I'm a marketer and I wanted to see that. All right, let's back up and let's go into the email sequences that we just looked at. So we have the seasonal or promotional sequences going on, and we have the welcome sequence. So we showcased this early on, and we get a coupon upgrade for 20% and free shipping now, so the code changes. And then, oops, it looks like I screenshot my hover over this image because this is an image instead of just text, which I think is an interesting choice by Tipsy Elves. I would try to make this all text just to make sure that we're inboxing a little bit more. However, they're probably inboxing just fine. They're a big brand. They're a healthy brand. They don't have deliverability issues like smaller brands might have. And in that case, I do like to try to see text here where possible. But this was a cool touch. It showcases a personal, an individual who is reaching out, and it's the customer service. So this is Nate saying, hey, you know what? Here, take another 15% off. Or, excuse me, this says use your 15% off code, but it says created a single-use 25% off coupon for you. So there's a little bit of confusion in the messaging here, 25% off and 15% off. It definitely would need updated, just a little tiny mistake inside of their sequence, but that's okay because they're rocking the marketing side. All right, let's go down and look at this other part of the email sequence, the seasonal promotions. The 30% off snow suits, $100 off snow suits, and then we get a Valentine's Day promotion, and then we have a site-wide surprise, and this matches up with the SMS sequences too. So this was really cool to see. I'll showcase that to you here in just a moment. And of course, the bonus sequence is the side-eye at tipsyelves.com staring problems email, say no to fear of missing out, free shipping on all orders, and then Nate again saying, hey, I really shouldn't be doing this. This customer service rep from Nate, he's probably getting a lot of email responses back with this. I think this is awesome to see. Nate from customer service. All right, let's zoom out. And let's look at the SMS sequence. So I will stay zoomed out here so you can see at the end of the SMS sequence, the last one that I received before waiting for 2 weeks to receive another promotion was this animated, limited time, scarcity driven, 100 available per promo code. And that matches up with this email message right here. So that was very tastefully done. Klaviyo makes that really easy. Here's the sequence. I'm going to go through this on my phone here in just a moment. So I'm just going to blaze through this really quick just to show you what this looks like. You will have access to this. I'll share it somewhere on this page in the description. And you should be able to see this and be able to review this and zoom in and fly around it at your convenience. All right, let's go to the mobile phone and take a look at this SMS sequence from Tipsy Elves. What I'm looking at here shows when I subscribed to Tipsy Elves on a Saturday in the afternoon, I receive a welcome message, as you can see here. It's telling me the message and data rates apply. Of course, that's fine. And then it gives me the welcome sequence. the welcome 20 code to unlock 20% off. And the copywriting here looks really good. Let's see where this takes us, the link that's in that text message. And we go to the home page. I think that's where we go for the rest of this sequence, is that home page. But this is interesting. The next day, on a Sunday, I received 2 messages. It turns out that when I opted into the welcome sequence, I also opted into their regular promotions. So what I'm seeing here is that I get $100 off all snowsuits, and that sale started today on that Sunday that I received this. So let's go look at that landing page and see where they take us with that messaging. And this is good. It takes me to the snowsuit page with the discount already applied, which is really cool to see. So we have the save 100. There's some that say save $135. It looks like the code is already applied, but perhaps this is a regular promotion that they're sending or running regularly. But what's interesting is, at first I thought it was good that they messaged twice on a Sunday, but then I realized the next message is sort of conflicting. It's going back into the welcome sequence with the 20% off coupon, and I was looking at these messages wondering, well, hold up, do I get $100 off plus 20%? I never really applied it to see if it would accept both discounts, but I don't imagine that they do. I think there's one spot for a coupon code and not for multiple coupon codes. In any event, now I can see as a marketer, I'm in 2 sequences, but I doubt that a regular customer would see this as 2 separate sequences. They would see this as the same sequence getting messaged again and again and again. So we see it again on Tuesday, January 23rd, in this instance. So 2 days later, we are sent the a free shipping offer, and we also get a customer support, hey, get 25% off instead to try them out. So this is sort of a win-back campaign that I've now been entered into. And this is an abandoned cart campaign. So the first time that I visited the website, I did the little spin game and got the 20% off coupon code sent to me. And then, because that opted me in, I started getting regular promotions. That's the $100 per off for snowsuits. And then I went and I added something to the cart, a snowsuit to the cart. I started receiving abandoned cart sequences. And for that, I get 25% off. So now I have this mixed messaging going on. I have a welcome sequence for 20%. I have here I'll highlight in the text message the 20% off. And then I have the $100 off snowsuits regular promotion going on. And now I'm starting to get abandoned cart sequences going on. So I'm getting all of these messages, and it's overwhelming a little bit. As a regular consumer, I liked how aggressive this was as a marketer, but I can see how there might be some confusion going on for Tipsy Elves clients or customers here with all of these messages, these mixed messages. At the same time, if somebody's a promotional buyer, they might see something that catches their eye and actually buy from it. So I don't know how this is going for Tipsy Elves, but I would be interested to see and to better understand how this is helping sales, especially if they could segment out the welcome sequence versus the regular promotional cycle and only send the welcome sequence, or use logic and conditionals to just take me out of the welcome sequence and only send abandoned cart sequences if they've seen the product that I want to add to the cart or to purchase, or if they've received my email address as submitted inside of the cart as if I were to check out right when I abandon. That would be closer to me. I think that would work better to temporarily remove me from the welcome sequence and just get me into the abandoned cart sequence, because I've already taken a look and gone through the website at that point. So that would be the closest to me as a consumer, I think. And I imagine that would produce really good results for them. But this way is probably working. I'm a huge fan of more messages is better. And in this case, they really pulled that off. And I actually thought it was pretty tasteful. I liked the personalization, like Julie from customer support here. I thought that was a good call. This one was a lot of fun. So shortly after that, a few days later on a Sunday, so this had about a 4 or 5 day wait, I received an animated GIF. I really liked that. It popped when I saw it in my message pop-up notification saying I had a message. And it's a flash code sale. And I really think this is tastefully done as a promotion for e-commerce. And they have scarcity inside of here with the only 100 available inside of this message here. So only 100 available of each of these codes. And then they follow it immediately with a message that explains that animated messaging and that animated promotion. Limited code flash sale, save 30% or 20% or 15% off site-wide. Use the codes in the image above at checkout. Hurry, each code is limited to 100 uses each. So this makes me feel like, oh, this was blasted to everybody. I have to move quick. Let's go. Let's get this done. This is going to be crazy. That creates excitement. It gets a big flash sale going on. I imagine if they did send this out as part of their regular promotional sequence, that they got a lot of sales on this Sunday. So this is a very cool method to see for any e-commerce providers out there or any e-commerce sellers out there. Use a flash sale like this. I think it would add a little bit to the bottom line if you use discounts. All right, then they get into bribery, and they're giving me 30% off my order at this point. This still seems like a abandoned cart type of a sequence here. And we're going back to an abandoned cart sequence here, February 16th. So they go quiet here. And I wonder why. So the last message I received was January 28th. I received 3 of them that day. The animated GIF here, the explanation along with it, and another bribery time. So getting mixed messages again, all within the same day. And it's interesting to me to see that. And I wonder how that works. I do like sending multiple messages per day. I think that's a very, very awesome tactic to use, especially if you can teach your prospective clients or customers that you're going to send those messages regularly. I think that's a good thing to start off that way, because it means you're appreciated, that you want their business. And that is a good feeling for people, I think, for the most part. I think people enjoy that. All right, and then they wait a couple of weeks, almost 2 weeks exactly. They wait and send another message. It looks like an abandoned cart trying to give me another 10% off. The messaging here says, we saw you eyeing some items, so that tells me it's an abandoned cart sequence as a marketer. As a consumer, I wouldn't know that. I might either think that's creepy or, hey, you know what? I kind of like that. That's cool. Yeah, I was viewing your website. I get it. And then we have the regular promotion again going on. Just received this message a few days ago, and that would have been toward the end of February. So this was almost another 10 days or so. So the first few days, I'm getting 2 messages per day, and then it slows down to every 2 weeks roughly. And I wonder why. That precedent of getting so many messages initially, I personally enjoyed, probably because I was a marketer. Maybe regular customers won't enjoy that, but that's where you have to test everything that you're trying in a campaign, especially in a retention campaign. It is so important to test frequency. You're not going to alienate your customers by sending them more messages which showcase that you care. I think that's a good thing to do and to try. But to drop off and go to every 2 weeks, that tells me that either Tipsy Elves has tested this and they do not get more sales by continuing their frequency of messages after day 10 or so, day 9 or so, and then they need to go to every 2 weeks. Or they simply don't have sequences that go on beyond that. And I think that it's a good thing to have a retention marketer build you some sequences that go at least 90 days, if not 120 days out. And have that cycle and that segmentation based on usage of the website. If all of that sounds too technical, then it's worthwhile to hire somebody to do that. And if you stick with me here, later in this video, I will showcase a job description and a scorecard for a retention email marketing specialist that can help you do something like this, setting up this type of an SMS sequence. Okay, so one of the biggest questions that I run into here is, well, how can I do this myself? And the best thing that you can do for yourself is go find an email service provider like Klaviyo. That's what Tipsy Elves is using here. We'll go to their website here real quick. It's just klaviyo.com. And they make it really easy. I think they have a free pricing tier. I highly recommend. Oh, nope. They do right here. Free pricing. They just moved it around from left to right. Now that might be a campaign for us to review at some point. Not today, probably not tomorrow, not anytime soon. in any event, there's a free plan so that you can start playing around with it and getting used to it and learning it yourself. It shouldn't cost you anything but time. But if you don't have time, that's where my company comes in. That's one reason that I am making these videos. I don't want to hide it. I am the founder of an outsourcing company, and we like to make it easy to find specialists like a Klaviyo specialist. If you're in that phase of your company where you're scaling a lot, you have a marketing manager in place, and they've run out of time. They don't have time to build this type of an advanced sequence and constantly optimize it, and even more, build like a 120-day sequence and continuously optimize that for the maximum return on investment. Retention is massive. If you're not getting 40% of your revenue from sequences like this, that's a best practice in the industry for the e-commerce industry. So as an e-commerce store owner, if you're not achieving 40% of your revenue from a retention sequence like this, then you'll want to take a look at adding a specialist or investing more time into this. Like I said, you can do this starting for free. So if you're just starting out in e-commerce or you have a small shop, go ahead and add this. It doesn't cost much. And if you don't have it, you'll see your revenue probably nearly double, because if 40% of your revenue should be coming from retention, it means you're leaving that much on the table. If you're a smaller shop, or even if you're a large shop and you're still not implementing something as robust as what Tipsy Elves has here, it would be a good idea to have your marketing team look at this, because it's low hanging fruit. You can win and make money, a lot of money, with retention marketing tactics like this. Okay. All right. So back to the question we get. Besides, how do we get this going for ourselves? Check out Klaviyo. They have a ton of training there. This isn't an email marketing video to show you how to, but Klaviyo will show you how to. They make it so easy to sign up. Other services do too. MailChimp is a good one, even though there's some bias against it from marketers that I've noticed, but I actually think it's a great platform. I think businesses and small businesses and e-commerce businesses and Main Street shops should be using something like MailChimp. Klaviyo is a little bit more robust and has a little bit more advanced features. However, I think MailChimp has caught up, if not maybe even matched what Klaviyo is doing these days. There are other services out there. You can search for them, but those would be my top 2 recommendations at the moment. All right, if you want to hire a specialist, you can go anywhere. You don't have to use my company. I'm just a huge fan of blessing lives overseas, so that's what I love to do. And that's the whole purpose of my company, is to try to bring jobs to countries that can not only fulfill on it, but also help create jobs domestically where marketing managers get a little bit more freedom, but also produce an ROI that's bigger than themselves and bigger than adding a specialist to the team. And that's a good thing. So we've seen jobs increase on both sides, domestically and overseas, with adding specialists to a team. All right. So let's go over the scorecard first. This is a scorecard template. You can copy and paste it. You can copy it, I believe, from Google Docs here and recreate your own. I like to create a role scorecard because this is how I will measure results. The job description really doesn't tell me how to measure results. It tells me how to manage or measure a candidate to see if they're qualified for the job. The scorecard is where I like to start every single time when hiring people, because it gives me the metrics that I want somebody to own. It also helps with onboarding. When somebody onboards into this position, this is one of the first things that I like to show them, to showcase, okay, this is what this company agreed to. This is how you're going to get measured, and this is what your performance will be based off of, and what your role and your rate and responsibilities will be based off of. So let's dive into this. This is a high-level scorecard. You can add more to this, but I always like to add a mission statement for every role. In this case, it's drive company growth or revenue growth through Klaviyo flow build-outs, segmentation, and technical optimization. These are the expected outcomes. Improve blended return on ad spend. And that means ad spend and investment inside of a retention software that covers email and text message campaigns. Now, the reason why I put to be determined %, that's based on the goals and needs of the company. So if we're selling jet engines online, which is highly unlikely, then this percentage, the conversion rate percentage, is probably really, really low, because we're talking millions of dollars per purchase, right? But if we're selling toothpicks or friendship bracelets, then that ticket price is probably a lot lower than a rocket engine or a jet engine. And that conversion rate should be significantly higher because of the lower barrier to entry and the lower purchase price. So I left that variable to you so that you can adjust it, but this is where your metrics come into play. If you don't know where to start, then you might need to tell this specialist, hey, we're just starting out here and we don't know what the baseline will be. We need you to create the baseline, and then we'll come back to this role scorecard in a month or two and set goals together to better define where this role is going and where to take the company. All right. Another outcome is to improve average order values. This will help contribute. It's a contributor to return on ad spend if the average order value coming from email and SMS as an attribution path or as another revenue channel is added to your store. So improving average order values means trying to increase the value of every order that comes through email or SMS. And again, we have targets to be determined by campaign requirements. For example, I might set up metrics or expected metrics, or I would search for expected metrics for win-back campaigns or cart abandonment campaigns and flows and sequences versus welcome flows and sequences. I would set different targets depending on the campaign because those requirements and those audiences are different. One of the biggest different audiences that you'll see, and we talked about it earlier in this video, is the difference between winning a customer over from purchasing for the first time versus a sequence to those who have already become customers. Those will have different targets and different metrics based on average order values and more. And of course, you always have to have a benchmark. So you kind of have to go out, put yourself out into the world with promotions and start looking at, okay, this month our average order value was this for this segmented audience. Now we need to adjust. Here's the target. Here's the new target. Optimize toward that target and grow the revenue there. All right. I expect this specialist to use data-driven optimization and growth tactics. Do some research. Find other campaigns that are winning. Do exactly what we did in this video by going and looking at Tipsy Elves or our competitors or other industries and getting ideas and showing that, hey, this is something that somebody else is doing. And it looks like it could work for us. Let's try our version of it and create something totally unique because we do not like to clone exactly because audiences vary so much. Even if it's a competitor, we will not and should not clone their exact campaign. We need to do it our own way because our audience will react differently. But we can get ideas from competitors, and I love doing that. And then, of course, contribute to documentation and a knowledge base so that we can scale. We don't want to go through a failure and not learn from it. Failure is just another word for education. That's what I always tell my team, and it's something that I love to share. Rather than say failure, sometimes I'll say, hey, okay, we received an education. So what? Let's learn from it, write it down, and let's either not repeat it or let's figure out a new way forward. We've got this. We can continue to learn because we also get that same education and sometimes even more valuable from the successes that we document and write down. And it helps our team scale. Eventually, you will hopefully have an entire retention team, somebody covering design, somebody covering tracking and technical and segmentation, and somebody covering landing pages and conversion rate optimization and more, and copywriting. I mean, you can have an entire team over retention, and that can scale quite a bit. All right, so here are the skills required. Analytics, of course, data-driven decisions, creativity, email marketing experience, SMS marketing, platform experience, in this case, Klaviyo. We definitely need logic as one of their strengths because we want to segment our audiences out as much as possible while still leaving enough of an audience there so that we can get significant results. And of course, e-commerce experience. We're looking for people with experience here because usually we don't have time to train up on here's how to use Klaviyo, but we do have time to train up on here's how we like to work. Here's how our company likes to work. Here are the past promotions we've run and here's what's worked. Here are the segments that we've seen work for us and more. That's the type of stuff that we want to train on versus platforms. Okay, here are the core skills. This will be competencies required to accomplish the outcomes for this role, expected, and to be a good company culture match for us. we need this role or this individual to be strategic thinking, analytical, have very much attention to detail. We saw that earlier in the video with the 25% subject line and the 15% button. It was a little bit different, right? Attention to detail, that's a big one. Proactivity, you can see that whoever is managing the Tipsy Elves campaign is extremely proactive. And I think that is awesome to see. Calm under pressure, high standards, good communicator, and logical. And something that I always look for when hiring any marketer is I always look for a portfolio. I want to see the results. I want to know the complex flows that you've created in a retention capacity. And if this isn't there, then I'm likely going to continue interviewing until I see that myself. All right, so from this scorecard that you can copy for yourself, we create a job description. And this is another template that you can use. Just replace company name and maybe add a few of your brand qualities inside of here. But the key to this is, what will this person do? They're going to develop and implement email and SMS marketing strategies to drive engagement, retention, and revenue growth. That's the number one thing. This very closely matches the role mission here. And then we get into more of the task-driven side of things. Create compelling email and SMS campaigns that match our brand guidelines. Use segmentation, do A/B testing, monitor and analyze performance, stay current with email and SMS trends. This is where we talk about getting ideas, writing documentation down, collaborate with other team members, go collaborate with the ads manager, go collaborate with SEO, find out what's working, and collaborate together to create an ultimate marketing pattern or create a marketing plan that will succeed. And then, of course, compliance. Compliance is big in the email and SMS marketing side of things. It's big all over the world. So you'll want to make sure that you're obeying the laws and the rules for email and SMS campaigns anywhere that you're marketing in the world. Okay? All right. And the person should have at least 2+ years of experience. I'm a huge fan of hiring for experience. I think experience-based people add a lot of value to a team, but they also kind of shortcut your way to success because you don't have to spend time on mistakes. You don't have to spend money on mistakes or as many mistakes. You don't have to spend time and money on training in a platform. And you immediately add to your team somebody who knows the platform and can start getting it to work for you right away. And of course, always the portfolio to prove it. This is one of the big ones, a keen eye for detail and accuracy. So I always include a little bullet point or something somewhere in here. I just kind of seed a job description with a little request. And that is to include some sort of a keyword in the cover letter or in the resume to showcase attention to detail. You would be surprised how many people miss this detail and they get excluded from the job. Because I want somebody who is reading and paying attention to detail. That's one of our culture matches here. And I like to perpetuate that culture. So I always like to include some sort of a keyword where I can and determine their attention to detail based off of that. It's very rarely an exception. If they have a killer portfolio that showcases attention to detail, maybe they're busy in their current work. I am a little bit of forgiving on this, but very, very rarely am I forgiving on this. But I do allow some people through if they didn't catch this in the first round, because maybe they were on a 15-minute break, had a resume letter ready and wanted to submit it. And they're rock stars, but they're busy, right? Sometimes you have to give people that and just talk to them and see how they do with the process as you interview them and bring them in. Okay, because we're hiring over in the Philippines, I do like to say it can work in the U.S. time zone, graveyard shift in the Philippine time, and overlap our time in the U.S. by 4 hours. But this applies to anywhere domestically. I like to have whoever I'm working with overlap my time by a few hours so that we can talk and collaborate. All right, and then we add benefits and a call to action to apply today and join our team. You should be able to find this description somewhere on this page and a link to it so that you can copy and paste it and use it for yourself. All right, I think we've prepped you for creating a successful retention sequence or retention flow strategy with email and SMS. Tipsy Elves really are a world-class brand. and I think their marketing team are world-class. I was really excited to see their campaign in action and to be able to put this together for this video. So I hope it's as useful to you as it is to me to go through this type of a campaign. And I'd love to hear more from you. If you're watching this video and you have a campaign or you've seen a campaign in the wild that I should go check out and review on this channel, please let me know. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and click that button to alert you when new episodes come out. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot to share the email SMS retention project brief with you. This is the brief that will help you close the loop and get your Klaviyo retention specialist off in the right direction as soon as you onboard them into your team. Or you can take this brief and use it for yourself to build out something similar to what Tipsy Elves has done as a masterclass in sequences and making people feel like they're loved and that they want them as a customer. All right? And I'm recording this next day because I completely forgot to include this in my initial recording. So we can call this the bonus round if you want. The way that I like to operate is I like to operate with a mini framework for everything that I do, for everything that I hand off to somebody else, or even for my own projects. And the reason why I like to do this is because I want to be able to scale in the future. And this framework is really simple. It's simply this: plan, brief, certify, execute, and then debrief. Now, we're in the planning phase here, and that's what this project brief is building out is the plan. As a leader, I want to always hand a detailed plan off to my team so that they know what to expect. So we're going to walk through this right now and showcase to you exactly how I like to build a project brief out. Well, after I hand this off, I like to ask questions. That's the certify phase. I want to ask my team members questions to make sure they understand the concepts, they understand the workflow, they understand what I expect them to do and to build out for me so that I can audit and review and have a debrief after they've implemented this with them. And I will also know by asking questions how closely aligned they are to my vision. Did I miss something in this brief? Am I missing a huge part of the vision? Did I provide enough examples? Have I provided adequate information? By certifying, it helps clear up any misconceptions or any missed details that I probably forgot as a leader or a manager to provide to my team. That's the whole point of certification. All right, so let's dive right in to what this brief looks like. This brief is to help us build, and we have that in the goal here, to help us build the welcome, seasonal, or promotional and abandoned cart retention sequences or flows, and do that for our own brand. So you can copy this. We should be able to find the document somewhere around this message or this video and use this and copy it for yourself. So I've made this sort of in template form, giving you access, I think, to every one of the documents inside here so that you can build this out for yourself and make it work. All right, so we have the retention sequences. I should probably change this flows. The retention flows project for e-commerce store. This can be for your brand, for a client brand, however you want to do this. What's the timeline? I put 8 weeks here. If you have a lot of bandwidth, you can change that timeline. But this timeline is general for now because what I want people to do is I want them to roll out these flows as soon as practical throughout this timeline. So I'm hoping that we have all of them done and implemented and rolled out in production and live by 8 weeks from now. But I'm hoping to get updates throughout the week. So we might add that to this timeline, or we might get more specific. In this case, I would hand this off to my team and ask them, please fill out the timeline with your major milestones. In fact, let's put that here. Please fill out this timeline, because this is a shared document with your major milestones and timing here. This will help the whole team get on the same page, and we can review this document after everybody has done that. All right, so what's the goal and objective? We need 3 Klaviyo email SMS flows with correct customer segmentation for this project to be considered a success. A welcome flow that flows out over 10 days, a cart abandonment flow that covers 10 days, and an ongoing promotional flow covering 120 days. Now, this can just mean sending an email and SMS message twice per week, or this can be a daily for 120 days, just keep telling people until they convert. So we might want to make a note here. Where should we make this note? Let's put it in our notes for now. Remove customers from these flows as needed or as segmented out. For example, remove a new customer from the welcome or cart abandonment flow, but keep the regular promotional flow going for them. Okay. All right, so we may need to segment out further depending on what the customer purchases. Okay, so that's in the notes. All right, so this is the overall goal and objective. These 3 flows, email and SMS inside both of them, covering the next 120 days when we very first get somebody's email address. All right, the example, if the goal or objective is achieved, we go over the flow chart. This is a little mini screenshot of what the flow chart looks like. I've attached it here in the brief. And I've added the note that this showcases screenshots and starting flow styles that we would like to get inspiration from for our goals. One of the biggest things that I like to always tell my team members is let's not clone anybody. Let's get inspired from them and make things our own and apply them with our brand voice and our brand guidelines. We try not to clone anybody, but we do love to take ideas and mash them up with our own and get inspired from them. All right, who is this project for? The audience brief will go here. Here's an example of who our audience is at Specialist.PH. However, we are more on the lead generation side and less on the e-commerce side. I would expect and hope that as an e-commerce store owner or agency, e-commerce agency, you will take this brief and apply it and use it with your e-commerce audience in mind. But the question is, who is it for? And the answer is going to be the audience, the target audience, not the project managers or the project leads of the project. This is for the target audience of these flows. That's always what I'm looking for here is audience and who is it for. What resources are available to accomplish this task? We'll say that we have a project manager in-house already. That could be you, that could be the CEO, that could be the marketing manager, whoever in your organization is building this brief. This can go here as the resource. And if you're starting from scratch, these are the resources that are needed. Now, if you already have some of these, you can move them up or just copy and paste them up into the resources that are available now to accomplish this task. So here are the resources that are needed to accomplish this project or this task. You'll need a Klaviyo retention specialist, a Klaviyo account with accounts set up. You'll need a copywriter or copywriting time. You'll need a graphic artist or their time, and developer time for installing Klaviyo and other analytics tracking scripts so that you can get your segmentation right. This is definitely a key role or a key piece to this. Okay? What are the roadblocks? I don't know that there are any roadblocks at the moment. But so I will ask my team to add what they think they will run into here. So please add the roadblocks you might foresee in this task project so we can address them in our Certify phase. Now, hopefully you'll have told your team that you're going to certify their knowledge and their understanding and review this document after they've edited it to make sure that they're thinking of everything, that you've thought of everything, that everybody's on the same page, okay? That's the Certify phase where you're asking questions. What are the steps to accomplish this task? We're going to follow this workflow. It's a great marketing workflow that I like to use. It's research, copywriting, compliance, production, distribution, optimization. This is more on the project management side. We have 2 workflows that we're working with here now. We have plan, brief, certify, execute, and debrief, which is sort of an overall overarching principle and workflow to use all the time. And then within marketing, we have this workflow that is about research, copywriting, compliance, production, distribution, and optimization. So these are the high-level steps that I wrote out, but I would expect my team to fill in the gaps. Team, please fill in the gaps in these steps. All right, so step 0 is review the research in the flowchart linked above under examples if the goal is achieved. So everyone is on the same page regarding if we were to take screenshots of our own workflows, it should look and feel similar to that in a flowchart form after the project. That's the goal here. So step 1 is going to be, hey, copywriter, write the copywriting and the words for each of these flows. Step 2 is, hey, let's go talk to legal, or let's review what we know and understand, even though we're not lawyers. That's a risk that we might take if we're a small enough team. We might say, okay, we think this complies with everything, and we're going to make sure that Klaviyo helps us comply with any CAN spam or SMS requirements. We might lean on them, or we might need to go find somebody to review this for us and help us. That is what I recommend, is always make sure that you have legal covered. If you don't, then you definitely run that risk yourself. So for purposes here, I would say make sure you have legal covered. All right. Step 3 is once all the copywriting is approved, we send it to the graphics specialist and the Klaviyo retention specialist. So while the graphics are being created and animated for some of those graphics, the Klaviyo retention person is building out these flows and ready to insert those graphics as soon as they're approved and done. Okay, so I have a list of assets required here. We need a pop-up graphics for the pop-up that collects email addresses on the website. We need email message graphics. We need animated GIFs or GIFs. I don't know how you want to say it, but I say GIFs, animated GIFs for email and SMS. And we're going to need the flows, the segments, and the logic for all of that inside this step. We will also send Klaviyo segmentation or tracking requirements to a developer to install and test that. Sometimes we can do that ourselves if we're familiar enough with the e-commerce platform that we're using. All right, step 3.5 is test everything thoroughly. Everything that the graphics specialist, the Klaviyo retention specialist, and the developer have done, make sure everybody is testing each other and going through these flows to make sure that everything is in place and accurate and functional before rolling it live, before taking it into production, as they say. Step 4 is go live. And step 5 is create an optimization plan. You might wait a week or two to see what kind of data you're getting throughout your entire flow and flow system before you start optimizing and testing, so that you at least have a baseline, base metrics to go off of. And you can set goals and optimization ideas based off of bottlenecks and maybe some trouble spots or slow spots in the customer's journey. And that covers it. That's the basics behind a brief. We answer the basic questions of what is the timeline, what is the goal or objective, what are examples of the goal or objective if this project is achieved, who is this for, that's the target audience, what resources are available to accomplish this task, what resources are needed to accomplish this task, what are the roadblocks to completing this, and what are the steps to take to accomplish this task. I hope this brief helps. I hope this template helps get you on track to setting up the best and the most effective retention flows that you can for your e-commerce store. Thank you for watching.